The truth is out there, brick fanatics. The LEGO Group has just announced 2 brand new LEGO Ideas sets, and they are absolutely cracking. The flavour of the week is 90s nostalgia. The LEGO Group ran a series of competitions looking for LEGO Ideas fans to submit their own projects about 90s nostalgia. And we had a bunch of different fan submissions, a few finalists went up for a crowd vote, and now the winners have been chosen. Going into production as official LEGO sets will be The X-Files, The Truth Is Out There by Wet Wired, and Wallace and Gromit by Pedelium. Both of these sets faced some stiff competition. You had things in there like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Fifth Element, Forrest Gump, Mr. Bean, The Mighty Ducks, a bunch of really cool stuff that we haven't seen in LEGO form yet, but which is absolutely definitely the flavour and the style of the 90s. I said at the time that the finalists were announced for the first of these 90s competitions that I did feel like the X-Files one here is a particularly strong build. It just looks really neat in the design of it. So even if you're not necessarily the biggest fan of the X-Files itself, surely you can appreciate this really cool 2-tiered structure here. As for Wallace and Gromit, I think this is brilliant as well. When I first visited the LEGO headquarters all the way back in February of 2023, I want to say, they had there on display a bunch of different fan creations, and one of them was a brick-built Wallace and Gromit. And so this is clearly something that LEGO designers have been walking back and forth past for quite a while now, and just had in the backs of their minds. Now, as luck would have it, this week I've been working on a video on all of the LEGO Ideas sets currently in production, and as luck would have it, just as I was finishing the rough cut for that, the LEGO Group made this announcement, which was probably the worst possible timing. So that video will be coming out a little bit later this week. In the meantime, I felt like it was worth doing a video just on these 2 sets to introduce them to you and also give you a little bit of a history lesson. No, this is time for a conspiracy theory. Because there's something that's been bugging me about Wallace and Gromit for a very, very long time now. Something that just doesn't quite add up. And I have a theory as to why that might be. So we are going to talk just a little bit now about Nick Park, the creator of Wallace and Gromit, and the driving force behind a lot of the Aardman plasticine animations that you've seen over the years. Films like Chicken Run, films like Early Man, and most recently he co-directed Vengeance Most Foul, the return of everybody's favourite evil penguin/chicken, Feathers McGraw. The story goes that once upon a time he studied communication arts at what is now Sheffield Hallam University before moving on to study at the National Film and Television School at Beaconsfield Studios in Buckinghamshire, England. This is apparently one of the top international film schools in the world, and there he studied animation for a very, very long time. I feel like filming this video in the heat of summer with all of the lights on is not working in my favour. So he's studying at the National Film and Television School, right? And this is where he starts working on Wallace and Gromit: A Grand Day Out, the first of the Wallace and Gromit films. And this was intended to be his student film, his graduation piece, his equivalent of a dissertation. And he works on this thing for 7 years because he's trying to do the entire thing all by himself. And in the meantime, he gets a job working at Aardman Animation, and they ultimately say, do you know what? You've been working at this for so long now. Let's just help you finish it and let's turn it into a thing and we'll put it on TV and what have you. It goes on to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Short Animated Film. It doesn't win that year though, because instead Nick Park wins for Creature Comforts, a different stop motion cartoon that he created with Aardman, because in the early 90s, Nick Park and Aardman were actively competing against themselves at the Oscars. That's just how powerful this creative team was. Park also managed to convince a fella by the name of Peter Sallis to do the voice for his character Wallace. Now, Peter Sallis was a professional English actor. He was quite well known within the United Kingdom because he appeared on the television show Last of the Summer Wine.
I don't mind people wincing at me driving, but hiding out of sight strikes me as tactless.
How to describe Last of the Summer Wine? Imagine a bunch of aging actors who have nothing else really to do and so are given this almost as a retirement. Yeah, it's not running anymore, but it did run for quite a while. So Sallis likes the cut of Park's jib and he takes the train down to visit him and to record all of the audio for the film. And then we get Wallace and Gromit, and we get all of the Wallace and Gromit things, and Sallis continues to play the character until his death. This is what I don't buy in all of that though, right? How did an animation university student convince one of the most prominent actors of his generation to just turn up and record some dialogue for his student film? And how did he get away with making this film over a period of 7 years while he was supposed to be studying at university? This is where my conspiracy theory comes in. How can you explain all of these wonderful, incredible things that happened in the early days of Nick Park's career before he'd even made Wallace and Gromit, before he'd even become a household name? Simple. He's an alien from a plasticine planet. He can change his form, and that's where he got the idea for Wallace and Gromit. Obviously. I mean, look at it. The first film features Wallace just building a spaceship and flying to the moon. That's the kind of thing an alien would think of. I mean, that's far more probable than the alternative, right? That simply being at one of the top universities for film and television in the country, and indeed in the world, meant that Nick Park had certain access to certain people and certain actors. That's entirely preposterous. It's also preposterous to explain away his lengthy period of student life simply because university was free back then. No. Of course it has to be the aliens thing. Now, I've got to wrap this video up and get this cheese back into the fridge before all hope is lost. Let us know what you think of these sets down in the comments, and make sure you do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and the notification bell. If you are going to be making any Lego.com purchases in the near future, you can use the affiliate link or the QR code that is on screen to make that purchase. Gives us a little bit of a kickback when you go through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra. Make sure that you go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things Lego, and sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thanks very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.